Oscar Pistorius' prosecutors believe what neighbours heard the morning Reeva Steenkamp died proves her death was no accident. Key to their case are witnesses' claims that they heard a woman screaming during the shooting, suggesting the athlete must have known that he was firing at Steenkamp.
Moments before the gunshots, I sat in the bed and it's the most helpless feeling I've ever had in my life. I anticipated something was going to happen. Because of the climax of her shouts, I knew something terrible was happening in that house. I thought they were being attacked in their house. You only shout like that if your life is really threatened.
It was clear that this person's life was in danger.
Michelle Berger and her husband Charles Johnson live 177 metres away from Pistorius' house. Despite that distance, they're adamant the screams they heard belonged to a woman and not an anxious or scared Pistorius. Estelle van der Merwe was already awake when she heard loud banging noises. She lives 98 metres away and claims to have heard raised voices before the shooting. She has admitted she couldn't hear clearly. Van der Merwe also says she thought she heard a woman crying after the shooting, but later discovered it was Pistorius. Radiologist Dr. Johan Stipp and his wife Annette live 72 metres from Pistorius' home. Stipp says he was woken by several loud bangs. He saw lights on at the athlete's house and heard a woman screaming. Then Stipp says he heard another 3 or 4 bangs and a man's voice crying for help. The prosecution argues that there were 2 separate sets of banging on the morning Steenkamp was killed. It insists the second series of loud noises were the shots that killed her, but it has yet to reveal what the state believes the first noises were. The defence says the first noises were the shots that killed Steenkamp, and the second the sound Pistorius' cricket bat made when he bashed down the toilet door to get to his fatally wounded girlfriend. The testimony by state forensic expert Johannes Vermeulen partially supports that argument. Vermeulen says Pistorius' cricket bat smashed the door after the shots were fired through it. It's become clear that the timeline of the shooting and evidence of the screaming heard by witnesses is central to this case. It then seems strange that the state chose not to call the witnesses who lived closest to Oscar Pistorius' home. Now, some lived as close by as 20 metres away from his house and may have been able to provide clarity on whether or not they heard an argument on the morning of the shooting. They may also have been able to give testimony about who they heard screaming on that morning. Now, because the state chose not to call those witnesses, they have become available to the defence.
We need your indulgence to consider the statements of those witnesses in the police docket, to see who would be available and who would be available and willing to consult with us.
The coming days will reveal if the people who lived closest to Pistorius tell a different version about what they heard in the early hours of Valentine's Day last year, and whether or not they take the stand, their testimony or their silence may be game-changing. Karen Morn, Johannesburg.
You deserve to know more.
eNCA.com